Boom. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. It's time for another midweek market update where we go through the sealed Pokemon market to keep you informed. So if that sounds good to you, sit back, relax, and welcome to PokeMarketLab. What's up, everyone? I hope this week is treating you well. Again, sorry for the lack of videos lately, trying to do the best I can. Life is just, we'll just say I'm going through it right now. And a little bit of, philosophy here before we get going. If you are going through a tough time in life, please keep going. One of my favorite quotes is, favorite quotes I'll give you. This too shall pass. Whether that's good times or bad times, it will pass. And the second one, if you are going through hell, keep going. All right, with that out of the way, let's talk about this crazy market that we are in right now. A reminder, if you're serious about this hobby, about collecting Pokemon, about investing in Pokemon, sealed Pokemon product, check out the link below. Check out Sleeved TCG in-stock notifications. It's the only way I get product at MSRP these days. And MSRP is important because this market is crazy. Also, hit that sub button, right? Stay tuned to the channel. We got some great insights coming in the next few days here as we put a couple more videos together as I get some more time back. We're going to do things a little differently today. We're going to do a high-level view over a lot of products here. I think with the market the way it is right now, I want to talk about where I think you should be looking. I think there's some stuff that's overvalued. We have age in Scarlet and Violet. Things are hot, things are crazy. I think we're certainly at the point of this market where you need to be in the market. We can't just wait for pullbacks. I think there's pullback opportunities. We've talked about this. The theme lately has been dollar cost average, leave a little bit of money aside. There have been some opportunities, but let's start off with booster boxes here. High level in Scarlet and Violet, talking about some of my favorites here, and they're not all created equal. And again, we've talked about thought process when you deploy money, right? And please, even listening to me, do not just listen to me. Form your own opinions. Grab a piece of paper, grab a pen, write down what you know, and write down what your guess is on what could be true, okay? Let's talk about where some current boxes are, where I think you should be putting your money. Let's talk Destined Rivals, top left corner. I think this is overpriced at $400. It's a fantastic set. I think it's too new. And remember, when I say that, this doesn't mean I have some crystal ball that says, well, this won't run away from us and ever come and never come back down. That is possible that it runs away. It is absolutely possible. Again, that's why I talk about dollar cost average. Maybe you should snag a booster box at 400, but you just have to know doing that. You may not get that opportunity for that pullback. But to me, I'm okay emotionally. I'm okay as an investor missing out on that product. But I'm also saying, like, I have a little bit of Destined Rivals. So I'm okay there. Again, if I had no exposure to that, I might feel differently. The other thing is grab an ETB. Grab a Pokemon Center ETB instead for less money, right? There's opportunity. We're going to talk about those in a second here. So the world where booster boxes was the only way to get significant returns is over. Pokemon Center ETBs are the collector's item. There's no question about that. I think there's some question long term how they perform in relation to booster boxes. I think in the short term, it's been very clear, right? So don't get so focused on, I got to have booster boxes. I have to have booster boxes. Look at those Pokemon Center boxes. It's a cheaper entry point. That's going to matter as well. But for $400, I think Destined Rivals is too expensive for me. I would rather be looking at Paldea Evolved. I think it's a weaker set. I honestly do. That's just my personal opinion. I know the market disagrees with me on that. Completely cool, but that's just my opinion. I'm going to throw it out there. Take it for what it's worth. I think your money's better spent on Destined Rivals. Paldea Evolved is a fine set. And remember, when we're talking about price performance here, Paldea Evolved's a lot older. It's far less risky in terms of reprints. That comes into play when investors and collectors are thinking about picking up boxes. That's why it's performing for what it is. It's performing obviously because of Magikarp as well. And I think a couple of things I want to point out here. Obsidian Flames is too expensive for me too. I feel that's too much for a product that's it's a fine set. I think the pull rates mean there's just the cards on the market. There's an easy supply. I just think that's too expensive. That's age pushing things up, really, at the end of the day. I'd rather be in the regular ETBs instead of Obsidian Flames. Absolutely a play. We'll talk about those later on in the video. That promo, even on the regular ETBs without that stamp, they're expensive. They're not cheap. I'd rather pick up 3 of those boxes versus the booster box. I think that's an easy play. And again, that's the type of stuff I want you to be thinking about. Don't just go and spend your money. You want it to perform for you, right? $300 is a lot of money. I don't care how much you make. That's a lot of money. Twilight Masquerade here, I think, is one of the better buys. You have, something Obsidian Flames doesn't have is that chase card. Chase cards matter. I think the rest of the set matters too, at least me personally. But I think Twilight Masquerade with that Greninja at $300, I think is a really good buy. And I'm always looking at comparisons. So I don't want to just go out and get Destined Rivals. I want to look at, okay, I want my money to work for me. I want to buy what I love. So for that same money, what can I get, right? And that's why I always stress too, especially going back to Destined Rivals at 400, Pal the Evolved at 464. You should be looking at Sword and Shield. If you like those sets, remember, liking something, I think from an investor standpoint, is the first box that you need to check. Look at Sword and Shield. All right, back to Twilight Masquerade. Again, $311 for a box. We have to, I like to calibrate that and say, okay, 311 makes a lot of sense compared to, with that chase card compared to Obsidian Flames. The reprint risk is higher, so there may be pullback on Twilight Masquerade booster boxes, but I can tell you now, what reprint has hit the market on booster boxes in any of Scarlet and Violet that's pulled back the price? We haven't seen that. Even Surging Sparks, we've gotten hammered with Surging Sparks booster boxes in the past. We've even gotten Obsidian Flames and Pal the Evolved booster boxes reprints in the past, and it's done nothing to the price. So I think from that, I think there's much more risk on the ETB side of things, right? We've seen the track record, Surging Sparks, Twilight Masquerade recently on the ETB side with those pullbacks as the product hits the market. It's an ETB. It's just not, it's never going to perform the same as a regular booster box. So I think that 311 makes a lot more sense versus Obsidian Flames with that chase card. It's a really, really good set. Let's talk about Stellar Crown too. I think, actually, let's talk about Scarlet and Violet base booster box. I think there's age on your side here, but again, it's an okay set. I think for that money, your money's better spent on even Stellar Crown, which I've said before, I don't love. Temporal Forces, even Journey Together at that point. So let's keep that in mind. So let's look around that $250 price range. Let's ignore Scarlet and Violet base. I don't think from a performance standpoint, your money should be there. It's been a poor performer from a percentage standpoint. Stellar Crown's a weird one. It's newer. I think it's at reprint risk, I would say. But again, on the booster boxes, is it going to matter? We don't know. The two cards in that set that are really chases are regular illustration rares. So there's just a lot more. You don't have an SIR that has a hard pull rate for that box. So it's a weird one. They're really cool cards. It's just, how does that going to work in the future? Like if the chase cards and the lack of supply on the chase card, because it's an SIR, because of pull rates, drives that booster box, drives that chase of cracking, right? And so that price of the box destruction informs the price of that card, if that makes sense. If we don't have that, which is, we don't really have it on Stellar Crown, how is that box going to perform long term? Again, I think it's a fine set, and I think it's a fine set at a certain price. That's what I'm trying to get at here. I think for that price, I'd probably rather go to Temporal Forces and Paradox Rift. And you can see a pattern here in that 250 range. Even Temporal Forces and Paradox Rift don't have those massive chase cards. And that's a huge component here. That's why they're still sitting at that $250 price point. But I think Temporal Forces and Paradox have a much better range of cards at prices. They're much better to crack, in my opinion. They're just beautiful to crack. You just don't have that chase card. Again, Stellar Crown, I think is appropriately priced right here. I've gone back and forth on Stellar Crown, saying it's not my favorite set. The two top cards in that card in that set are fantastic. They really, really are. It's just they're not SARs, and it drops off very, very quickly after those two. From looking at the wide range of cards in a set, Paradox Rift and Temporal Forces, I think are great. Journey Together, I think this is appropriately priced as well. Maybe, again, there's reprint risk there. So I think you got to be careful with that one at 250. I think for my money, I'm probably rather in something older, like a Temporal Forces or Paradox Rift. And that's kind of really my update on, I think, booster boxes. So now we'll kind of go on to the ETB side of things. All right, we're going to talk about Pokemon Center ETBs. This is obviously the hotness in the market, and I think it's very clear this is if you're going to buy anything, especially this is great for people who don't have a ton of money to spend. Maybe you're using a service like Sleeve TCG and you can get into that Pokemon queue. We just had Phantasmal Flames this week, really long queue. I do think the newer products on Pokemon Center exclusive ETBs, there's going to be a lot more of them. So I want you to be, I don't think there's anything really to be cautious. I think the only caution we should have there, if you can get them in MSRP, there's no question. There's just no question. Get in that queue. Again, you get that notification from Sleeved. You get in there nice and early. You get your product at $60. I don't think there's a question. But I do think there's some opportunity in the market at even some of the secondary market prices for some of these boxes, which we're going to talk about here. I do think You know, 151's not on this list here, and I just didn't have room on the screen. You know, pushing $1,000, and I think paving the way for the rest of the Pokemon Center ETBs. And I think those earlier Pokemon Center ETBs are still, they're still going to move. I think Paldean Fates is probably one of the better buys here. I rarely tell people go spend $500 on a Pokemon, on an ETB. Really, at the end of the day, it's just an ETB. But I think that's that Bubble Mew is phenomenal. I think these are rare. Those earlier ones before we got into Prismatic and Surging Sparks, I think the reprint numbers, the print numbers on those, I think they're going to be lower. I really do think they're going to be lower. I think we've just seen more of like I think there's going to be more Prismatic ones out in the market, right? With the demand signal, you know, from this bull run has just told the Pokemon Company, we need more of these, right? So I think there's still room to run an Obsidian Flames, Paldea Evolved, Paldean Fates, Pokemon Center ETBs. I still think those, again, do a comparison. So, you know, again, if you're looking to spend $500 or $450 on Paldea Evolved Booster Box, I'd rather be in a Paldean Fates Pokemon Center ETB. I'm sorry if that makes me crazy. I know there's fewer packs. That's not the only thing that drives these products. The scarcity, the promo, I mean, just look at Paldean Fates ETBs, regular ETBs are pushing. They're going to be knocking on $300, right? So, and then the Obsidian Flames one here is going to easily be $1,000. I'm going to call it and say I think it could be $1,000 by the end of the year. That promo in there is unlike anything else. And again, that's why I also think you should be looking at regular ETBs there. We see that pattern where the Pokemon Center ETB with that promo pushes things up. And just when you have a really cute promo and it can only come from that box and there's demand for that promo, that's going to matter even outside of what's in the set and packs availability in that box. Prismatic Evolutions. So let's talk on this one. This Prismatic Evolutions. This is performing to me. Prismatic is very much like 151 in that it from a reprint standpoint, a supply standpoint, pricing standpoint, it bucks all the other trends in the market. It's not like this typical cycle where it comes out and the demand wanes months after. It's going to continue to push forward here. And so I think if you've missed the boat, let's put it this way. From a reprint standpoint, all bets are off on these. We've seen these random reprints of these. Prismatic had one, I think, was it months later? Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. But so there's a possibility that we get Pokemon Center ETBs down the road again. It's not going to matter much. I can tell you that much. Unless it's a massive doubling of supply into the market, I don't think it's going to matter much. So I think again, if you're going to spend $400, you come over to the Pokemon Center ETB side. You got that promo. You got that promo is juice that the booster box does not have. It just doesn't. So again, keep that in mind. Destined Rivals, we have not seen another drop of these. I think there's some probably risk there. I'd probably stay away from that one. But again, unless you just want a dollar cost average or you want to have it, there's no future where that one's not going to be worth $1,000. And you just keep going down the line. I think the Scarlet and Violet base one, I think that's probably overpriced for me. I don't think I'd be looking at that. I think the Surging Sparks, beautiful promo. You got Magneton, you got Pikachu on the box. I think we're far enough away on that one. I don't think we'll see another drop of that. I think that's an awesome, again, if you were looking, we talked about some $250 booster boxes. Maybe we come over and just look at the PC ETBs. This is a collector's item. This is very much a collector's item. You have exposure to the set. You have a beautiful promo. They're scarce, right? There's exclusive things there that matter. And I think the cheaper ones here going to Twilight Masquerade, Tempo Forces, Journey Together. I think Journey Together is a fantastic buy here. I think we're far enough away on that one. I think that's a good looking box. I think that's a decent promo. I think that's one to look at. Stellar Crown's really cheap here. I was actually commenting, I was knocking I think it's Noctowl, the promo from Stellar Crown, and actually quite a few people said they liked it. Again, this is where everything we're talking about is personal preference. It's all subjectivity, right? And so if you think the Noctowl promo looks great, and that's a cheap Pokemon Center exclusive box where the Stellar Crown ETBs were pushing, they're up there, right? The regular ETBs. So that's a great one. We don't have Shrouded Fable on here. I think that one's pushed up pretty quick. We've been calling that out. That's why you got to pay attention to these midweek market updates. There's actionable info here. And again, we want to go through the thought process of this stuff. We want to think outside the box. Where are other people looking? Where's the money flowing? Okay, where's the money not flowing that we can be looking at? And we're always talking about stuff like that. So again, I hope this just spurs some conversation in your head, some self-talk about how you deploy your money. And again, Twilight Masquerade, I think is a good buy here too. Again, under $200. Again, and you can tell the difference in promos here, right? And so, just to recap here, I've said this last week as well. The market continues to shock me. Even the money continues to flow in. There's headwinds, but it just doesn't care. the money has flown back into the system post summer doldrum extremely quickly. And it's this snowball effect towards the positive in terms of price growth. I think a couple of things. You got to be careful. You're buying, again, any MSRP opportunity on any product is an auto buy, right? Again, that's why I push sleeve all the time, because especially if you don't have a lot of money to burn, buying MSRP just gives you more of that upside exposure with with no downside exposure, almost none, right? But I think also you can't just, especially if you have more money to deploy, MSRP is only going to get you so far, and you're going to have to go to the secondary market and pay secondary market prices. And again, that's why I've shifted even my mentality towards waiting for opportunity. There has been opportunity, right? It's not that methodology doesn't work. It's that, and we may still get an opportunity in the future. We don't know what's going to happen with Mega Evolution. We don't know what's going to happen with more production coming online. So, but I think, again, dollar cost average, I keep beating that horse. I think that is the way we win. That is the way we prevent our emotions from driving the decision. Again, I think if you look at the market in a whole, right? If I want to spend a few $100s, look at multiple different types of products. Get out of that mindset. The mindset of the booster box being the only thing that really performs is not true. That's held true in Sword and Shield. Even now in Sword and Shield, we know that scarcity of product matters far more than anything at the end of the day, especially when we're talking about really good sets. So just make sure you're looking from a high level view, multiple products, multiple sets. Does it have a chase card? What does the box art look like? Even from a scarcity standpoint, looking at earlier Scarlet and Violet, that's just more scarce, right? We know the back half of Scarlet and Violet is extremely popular in a hot market. Remember what that does. That creates a demand signal to the Pokemon Company. They're going to print the back half of Scarlet and Violet more than the front half. That is going to be true. There's no question. We don't have data on that, but we can think through that. And that is fundamentally, I think that I really do think that is a truth. So when you're looking at older products, that stuff should carry more of a premium for good sets. Remember, just because it's old does not mean it's good. Buy good stuff. Yes, most Pokemon product goes up no matter what, but we want to buy best of breed if we can help it. Again, I think Obsidian Flames, that booster box, again, I think you should be looking at both the Pokemon Center ETB, specifically the regular ETB. And speaking of that, yes, it is an expensive ETB. It is the most expensive. Let me think about that for a second. Yes, I think it is the most expensive regular ETB in all of Scarlet and Violet. I'm sorry, outside of 151, which is about $400 right now. I think we got to be careful with this. You have a fantastic promo. This is really, truly a gorgeous, cute promo. I don't think there's any other card. I'm trying to think of any other card that tells a story like that in all of Scarlet and Violet. So it's a fantastic promo and a decent set. And it has Charmander on the box, which matters too. So I think if, again, versus the booster box, yeah, I'm sorry. I'd rather have two of the ETBs for that price. I think that's just, there's juice there. That regular, the set for Obsidian Flames is just, it's mediocre. It's okay. So again, that's the kind of stuff I want you to think about. Don't be afraid of ETBs. They perform well. I've said this before. They are the nostalgia play. They are how most people, at least in previous market cycles, have had exposure to products. We have booster bundles now too as well, but ETBs is a very cheap entry point, especially with the promo now, where imagine a kid, a teenager, someone who just loves opening that and getting those packs for ripping and having fun, but also that promo, that special card that you get. Imagine getting that Charmander and you put it in a sleeve. It's cool. And that matters. That matters long term. That's something people are going to remember. That's going to be something people go after. There's something magical there in that ETB that when you open a booster box, you just don't get. There's no stuff in there. It's just packs, right? And people crapped on ETBs for the longest time because of this, because they were just a cheap product. And that has been a complete sea change. So that brings me to the end of our midweek market update. I think longer one this week, but I wanted to do kind of a high level. Hey, I haven't been doing a ton of videos. I got some stuff to talk about here. I wanted to give you a high level view, and I think there's some actionable info there. And again, remember when you're deploying your own money, do your research. It's as simple as coming on TCG Player. Even watching a video like this, don't just go make purchases. Think through it, please. Don't just listen to the talking heads. It's okay to go on Reddit. It's okay to listen to YouTube videos and podcasts and all that stuff, but form your own opinions before you spend your hard-earned money. I know it seems like everything is going to go up. It's not going to be that case forever. So you want to be in good stuff. And at the end of the day, if, you know, the world collapses and you're left with a giant pile of cardboard, you want to be able to, you just want to sit in your, you know, apocalyptic storm shelter opening product that you love, not stuff that you hate. So keep that in mind. Of course, again, check out Sleep TCG in the description. If you love what we're doing here, if you're serious about this hobby, you should be absolutely subscribed to this channel. And of course, I always appreciate feedback, comments, positive, negative. If you want to question any of my ideas here, of course, hit me up in the comments below. And if you want some long form conversation, if you have some ideas, want some advice, hit me up at PokeMarketLab at gmail.com. And with that, we will see you on the next one. PokeMarketLab